very much, Mr. Moreira. Now we have Mr. Zalba for 2 minutes.
Señor Comisario.
Commissioner, well, the position of the EPP is very clear concerning the trade policy of the European Union. We are firm defenders of free trade, and therefore it's indispensable for Europe to continue negotiating trade agreements with other countries, because that generates new opportunities for European business, that is to say, new jobs, which we so much need in this context of a serious economic recession. I did like your words, Commissioner, because I also think it's very important that these agreements contain the sufficient guarantees to avoid signing unfair clauses for European industry. Now, this agreement with Korea has been presented by the Commission as the first in a new generation of agreements, trade agreements, which will be more ambitious for Europe. And that's why this treaty is so important. It's not a question of whether it's a small country or not, but in not weakening our negotiating capacity for future agreements with countries that are even bigger. Therefore, we do not agree to have this free trade agreement, but we want to study more seriously certain paragraphs in the treaty which we think have unfair competitive disadvantages for certain industrial sectors in Europe and that unfairly favor Korean producers. Commissioner, I want you to explain clearly the reason why the safeguard clause for the duty drawback will come into force in 5 years. On the last opportunity, when I talked to you, said that the reason were that the duties on cars would be dismantled also in 5 years. Now, the treaty stipulates that in 5 years they will dismantle the duties for vehicles that weigh more than 5 tons. However, for the vehicles under that weight, which are all normal vehicles, there'd be a 10% duty that would be dismantled over 3 years. Now, I'd like you to tell us more details about some new aspect here too that you mentioned. Why are we correcting the problems exposed when the value of a safeguard clause to anticipate the possible consequences which might be harmful? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zalba. Mrs. Regner, 1.5 minutes, please.
Thank you. The free trade agreement should include clauses to enforce respect for human rights.